Hi, this is Brin from bigender.net. I wanted to post a quick video, sort of in response to translabyrinth's video, Outcoming Ya Dig, which was itself a response to Candy Flaw's video number 054, Boobs and Parents. Talking about coming out. In her video, Translabyrinth talks about making sure that you wait until it's safe for you to do so before you come out. Presumably more like, if you're living with your parents, then don't come out to your parents if they're going to throw you out if you have nowhere else to go. Makes sense. But also, to the big wide world as well, wait until you're in a position of safety. Or have a fallback plan. You know what? Go watch her video because she's smart and says all the things that I'm failing to say right. I wanted to add to that, though, that there are other reasons for not rushing your coming out. Because coming out to yourself is kind of hard. It's really difficult. Not to everybody. Some people just know things and they're fine and they don't have to overcome anything. I had to overcome all kinds of fear and shame that I put on myself over the years. That said, I rushed it a little in my coming out. When I decided I was ready to come out, I decided to go big or go home, and I went big. I sent an email out to 30 or 40 of my closest friends. And it was like 3.5 pages long, and went into this long explanation about things that they didn't care about, things that weren't relevant to my friends, but were to my family. So I got a lot of good response back. Only a couple were like, I don't really get it, but they were fine. Nobody was upset. I came out, though, not as bigender, but as a crossdresser, because up to that point, I didn't know you could be anything but either a crossdresser or transsexual. I knew that I wasn't going for surgery or full transition full-time, so I had to, of course, be a crossdresser, because that's the one that allowed me to still like girls, too. I didn't know anything about gender. I heard the terms transgender fairly recent before. My wife at the time and I hadn't really reached an equilibrium yet, and I didn't know myself. I was 23, almost. And after I came out to my friends, about 3 weeks later, I came out to my family, most of whom didn't have email. So I had to print off 40 copies of this 3.5-page letter, get 40 manila envelopes and stuff them all and put address labels on them and postage and mail them all out, and then hand carry my dad's over to his house so that I could come out to him and my stepmother face to face, because my family likes to activate the phone tree. So as soon as one person got the letter, everyone was going to know about it and they were going to start calling my dad, and I didn't want him to not know because maybe the mail got delayed to his house or whatever. So I hurried over there after hitting the post office with my wife and sat down and had a good heart-to-heart with my dad and my stepmother and said, I'm a cross-dresser. I have been as long as I remember. I'm still a boy. I still like girls. My wife was pregnant at the time, and I decided that I didn't want to bring my new child into the world, into a world where I was keeping secrets from everybody about everything. So I wanted to just throw the doors open wide and blare the trumpets and announce to the world that this is who I am, and watch out, here I come. It's all great. Really wonderful stuff. However, I didn't know what the hell I was talking about. I keep bumping the table and it's shaking the camera, sorry. I didn't know what the hell I was talking about. I didn't know who I was. So I hadn't really given myself the time to wear the label of crossdresser for a while, live in it, talk to other people who also wore that label, because what I learned after having done all of this and I'll get back to what happens after I come out send the coming out letter, but because that's step 2. What I learned after all of this was that the narrative that all of these cross-dressers and their significant others were telling didn't belong to me. A heterosexual cross-dresser, for the most part, in my experience with them, they are very confident in their male gender identity. They have no female gender self. It is almost entirely about the clothes. Sort of. Like, I'm not trying to besmirch them at all. They are who they are, and their lifestyle, the way that they feel that they need to express who they are as a person, involves dressing in the clothes of the opposite birth assigned gender. But they live as men. They're very confident in their lives as men. Most of them, in my experience, have sort of created this alternate persona for their female self, or their second self, with her own name and her own personality traits, and sometimes even different belief systems and different ways of relating to the world. That is very much as if it were a different person. That never resonated with me because, as I had told my wife when I came out to her before we got married, I am who I am. Period. No matter what I'm wearing, I am still your husband. I'm still me. I didn't have a girl name. I didn't have a femme name. I hold all the same beliefs. I say all the same things. I still do all the same stuff. I'm just wearing different clothes because that's just part of who I am. So it didn't fit. And a couple years later, I had started, using the internet, which was fairly new at the time, as far as being a resource of information for people on the fringe. And I found a website by BC Holmes. I believe it's bcholmes.org, Holmes, just like the Sherlock, .org. She is a transgender activist. She's also a Haitian activist, an activist for Haiti. She herself is not Haitian, but she's an amazingly interesting woman and very knowledgeable, and has studied and accumulated a lot of knowledge about gender and transgender issues. And she talks on her page about other gender, third gender, non-binary, and that was sort of illuminating to me. I didn't know that you could be different than a cross-dresser or a transsexual. I didn't know there was anything in between, above, below, around, different under the transgender umbrella. And that started to really percolate in my head. So I sent that letter out in 2001. And then in 2005 or so, I coined the term bigender for myself. Now, I didn't come up with the term all by myself. According to Wikipedia, it dates back to 1999, but I had never heard it. And there wasn't a lot of hits on Google at the time for it. So I was pretty proud of myself, because it described who I thought, who I am. I'm a man and a woman. I express those gender identities in socially conforming ways, I guess, but I express the full spectrum of who I am. So, had I waited but 3 years and given myself time to get comfortable in the label, I would have realized that I wasn't comfortable in the label, and I would have been able to keep my family up to date. Or I would have been able to come out once and do it right, and not have to now, 10 years later, re-explain all of this through these videos. Which brings me to my second point. So I do all this. I have this great big coming out letter and send it to everybody, and it's great. It's like throwing open the closet door, playing a fanfare on the trumpets. Watch out, world, here I come. I told them in the letter that I would love their acceptance, but I'm not seeking their approval, and I'm going to dress how I want, and you may want to prep your kids, and watch out. And then I immediately failed to do any of that stuff. I've never dressed around my family. The closest I got was just 2 or 3 weeks ago. I went to breakfast and had my nails painted with someone who wasn't my immediate family, who had been the only ones who'd seen it, who'd seen anything. So my extended family, with whom I'm fairly conversant, we're a pretty close, big family, has never seen me dressed, or has never seen me as Brin. I came out of the closet, or at the very least I opened the door, and then I just sort of looked out at the threshold at people who were living the life that I wanted to live, because I was afraid to come out, because I was afraid that all of those people who told me that they would accept me wouldn't, and when push came to shove, they were going to run. They were going to tell me that they didn't want to be with me, they would disown me, they'd kick me out, whatever, even after they told me that it would all be okay. And I didn't trust them. And they wanted me to, and I wanted to, but I couldn't. I couldn't get over the fear. So now, 10 years later, I have to redo all of that. And so that's my second piece of advice, is once you've come out, live out. Let people see you being out and who you are. Hiding it away isn't going to make it easier for anyone to take later. They're only going to be confused because you made a big deal about telling them this information about who you are, and then you're not showing them that this is who you are at all. So 10 years ago, I could have, well, 9 years ago, I could have lived a different life. I could have gone to Christmas in a dress. Bet it would have been a cute one too, but I didn't. And so yeah, so the first thing, live in your label for a little while and make sure that you're going to go through all of this effort to educate and inform and tell people that this is who you are, and it actually is even somewhat approximate to who you are. I didn't. I was wrong. 9 years ago, I was wrong because I wasn't heterosexual. I'm not heterosexual. I'm not a cross-dresser. I am bigender. And it's a more accurate expression of who I am and who I've been hiding away from everyone for 9 years. Well, longer, but, you know, the past 9 years anyway. And I got one sort of rejection. I sent it to my grandfather, and the next time I saw him, I asked him if he got the letter, and he said yes. And he said, you know, you really didn't have to send that to me. And I said, well, yeah, I did. I wanted you to know who I am. He goes, no, you really didn't have to send that to me. And that was the end of it. Never talked about it again. And I was, you know, out in the closet. So, you know, he never would have had an opportunity to see me. But this is who I am now. And, you know, this is sort of my coming out in a very 2010 way. Or YouTube, so maybe 2008 way, but it's 2010 now. And saying all the things I wish I'd said, I wish I'd known 9 years ago. So give yourself some time. You're not a bad person if you're not out. Just give yourself time to be out to yourself and learn who you are. Because new labels are sexy and fun, and you really want to try them on for size and tell the whole world, but you get euphoric and lose your judgment and lose sense of yourself. So please take a moment, know thyself, and then share thyself. So that's it. That's all I have. Send me comments, responses, emails at brin@bigender.net, or leave a comment here, use my YouTube inbox, whatever. Join the forum at bigender.net and come and see what all the fuss is about. There's no fuss, but come see what, you know, all of these great people. Okay, good night.